Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Charles Sabantu, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And this is a special edition from our exclusive interview that we did, our sit-down that we did recently with Marcellus Wiley. And when Marcellus came to the show, we were discussing a litany of things, right? We spoke about the situation surrounding him. We spoke about the state of affairs with the Clippers. We spoke about Stephen A. Smith demanding to be paid more money. But one of the topics we touched on during our conversation was centered on the Josh Giddey situation, where Malika Andrews and Stephen A. Smith seemed to be reluctant to touch on it, right? And during the interview, I wanted to know what Marcellus Wiley thought about them being, in most cases, afraid to talk about it, and ultimately what he thought about their response afterwards. So what we want to do is want to play what Marcellus Wiley said from our show that we just did, from the interview that we recently just did, and we'll come back and give you guys our closing thoughts. Take a listen to the exchange here. I want to piggyback off the point you made, and it's a point, because I watch your show, that you always make, which is you want to tell the truth and you want to be yourself. And if the color is blue, you're going to call it blue. If it's green, you're going to call. I follow your show, and this is something that I think you live by. You also mentioned the fact of kind of playing the role, if you want to get to that level, maybe as Stephen A. Smith, and you're like, I choose to be myself. The reason I'm bringing this up is there was a controversy that took place in the sports world, let's say about a week or so ago, and we covered it, and I want to get your thoughts on it, surrounding Malika Andrews, Josh Giddey, the Oklahoma City forward, and Stephen A. Smith. Now, as you know, Malika Andrews is quite vocal, and I don't want to make it a black or white thing, but for this particular case here, I just want to be thorough. She's known for pointing out moments when certain black athletes, they have low moments in their career. She did that with Udoka and all of these different things. But then when it came time to discuss the Josh Giddey thing, people were asking, where's Malika Andrews' voice? No one was asking her to accuse him. They were just asking her to cover the story. Days went by, she didn't cover it. Then she was forced to read, not forced, but she read a statement on TV. And then Stephen A. Smith said he refused to touch the story because there were still more details coming out. Then the Von Miller story breaks, and they pause ESPN live on air to report what had just happened. My question is, in big media, how much freedom do these people that we see, how much freedom do they really have, and how much are we to trust the words that are coming out of their mouth, if it's really from their own brain or they're being told or influenced to say what they say?
Oh, man, it's a great conversation. Well, don't fully trust them. And let's be real. It's not because always they don't have good intentions. The problem is the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And there's so many people that contribute to a big mainstream show. Like I said before when we were talking about James Harden, there's so many people that got to sign off on things that at times you don't get what you intend out of a topic or out of a show. So there are times where it's just like, you ain't touching this. So this could be a scenario. Let me give you a hypothetical. Malika or Stephen A. want to talk about Josh Giddey. NBA is in negotiations with ESPN to get this deal done, right? They're like, this situation is sticky because I know he's from Australia and he's white, but he is messing with someone who could be 16. And in that state of Oklahoma, 16 legal, where he's from Australia, 16 consent legal. And no one was cooperating with the police.
Right.
So now, do you really want to be that ahead of your skis if you're ESPN with your talent going on that story? And it was just an inconvenience because literally they talked to NBA, which is mostly black players, good and bad about the same black players, and they continue doing that. And then it's this white player jump out, and everybody like, all right, let's go. And they're like, we ain't going because there's too much that they didn't know or couldn't do. So It was a weird set of dynamics for that one. But Malika, she put herself in this position
Yes, she did.
not just because of not just because she covered those topics, but how
How
she
she
did
covered it.
it.
Yeah.
Like when she went to Stephen A. Smith's show and was like, Stephen. I was like,
That's ridiculous.
ooh,
I mean,
this
that's
is gonna come
ridiculous.
back to haunt her.
That's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous, man. So now she's in an impossible place where she almost feels the pressure to find white players and talk about them in a negative light, just to balance out the narrative and the perception of her. Who wants to be that person? Who wants to be in that place?
So you heard what Marcellus Wiley had to say. My reaction to what he had to say is the following. I think that Marcellus was essentially saying that it's a nuanced issue. There are politics involved. There are many layers there that one needs to take into consideration. But it also shows you all of the minutia that exists in corporate media, right? There's so many boxes that have to be checked. There's so many different, people that you have to meet, so many different papers you have to sign, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, to get your thoughts out there. And to me, that is why I believe independent media is refreshing, because you don't have to do all of these things. Now, obviously, you're not going to go out there and say slanderous things about people, disrespect people, say crazy things on YouTube. You're not going to do that. However, you do have the freedom, if you're within the guidelines, to express your thoughts. You're not going to have somebody come up to you and say, hey, man, you can't say that we can't talk about this on sponsors. No, you go out there, say what you think, and you have the freedom to go out there and share your thoughts. And to me, ultimately, I believe that that's what he was saying. Now, for those of you guys who didn't see the interview, we have the full interview streaming for free on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you guys want to check that out, we have that linked, pinned in the comment section below. And then we also have the full show on YouTube. Thank you guys for your attention. We catch you guys on the next show. Peace.